Xiaomi Air notebook is one heck of a Chinese notebook. But, what if we say that there's a better notebook than the Mi Air? A notebook which is superior regarding both hardware and appearance. Meet our today's protagonist CubeThinker i35, which is one of the best premium notebooks from the Chinese land. Don't believe us? Well, you have to, because this hotshot right here is an absolute beauty and worth of spending $600. Thinker i35 features a premium build, the latest SoC under the hood and a lightning-fast SSD. But that's just the appetizer, the real meal is yet to serve. So, let's dive into the details of CubeThinker i35 notebook to enlighten you with its capabilities. The CubeThinker i35 is delivered in a pretty high-quality packaging, which unfortunately arrived a bit tattered. The product is well protected and attractively arranged inside. After opening the packaging, first, remove a layer of padding material. Below it appears a box with the high-quality acting power supply. A German power cord is not included. But it is a standard device cable, which should have everyone at home. The CubeThinker i35 is well protected in a plastic bag. There is protection between the display and the keyboard. Underneath the notebook comes a fancy envelope, which houses a rudimentary manual. Other accessories are not included. That's a pity. 1 or 2 USB Type-C adapters would have been a nice addition. The CubeThinker i35 first looks a little unusual because it is used by most laptops. Usually laptops 16:9 displays and are therefore rather wide. The CubeThinker i35 other hand looks square but slightly tending to oblong. When viewed from the side, i35 sees the CubeThinker similar to a MacBook Air. The housing has the typical wedge shape, it is toward the front pointed. The thickness at the top is 2.6 mm and at the other end at the thickest point 7.9 mm, without the rubber feet. The CubeThinker i35 is therefore very slim, despite the powerful hardware. For the sake of price, the metal must be thin, and including, unfortunately, the stability. No question, the CubeThinker i35 looks absolutely high, because the manufacturer relies on the unibody metal housing. The feel is good, and yes, the part is 2 miles away from limp as certain plastic firecrackers from the Far East. But still, the device is not as stable as the Jumper EasyBook 3 Pro or even at Apple MacBook. If you are in the middle of laptops, it is rather small. Even if it is lifting at one of the front corners, it flexes minimal. Fortunately, the force when typing is not sufficient for a deflection, so one does not notice much in normal use. This is an advantage outdoors. Since the OGS construction already reduces the reflections despite the high-gloss glass front, the display also looks good against the rest of the reflections. We could easily use the CubeThinker i35 in bright sunlight when the brightness was set to maximum. If you are worried that the display is too bright at night, we can reassure you. At 0%, the brightness is dimmed very much, so the eyes are spared. But not only the LCD panel in the CubeThinker i35 is a real pleasure, with the touchscreen it is the same. This is also identical to the digitizer used in the Surface Book and thus also supports the Microsoft Surface Pen. However, this is of course not necessary. The operation with the finger is fun, and really? The CubeThinker i35 responds immediately to input. Despite the huge touch surface, there is hardly any input delay. The touch resolution and accuracy is excellent. In addition, the panel is very sensitive. Even very light touches are sufficient for a reliable detection. What surprised us in a way, how well the Core M37Y30 gets along in the CubeThinker i35 with games. It would indeed be known that the processor could not even handle demanding games like GTA. on the CubeThinker i35, which is not possible by the enormous resolution. Sure, you can reduce the resolution, but with the graphics suffer then enormous. The solution would be to external monitor with a lower resolution. For mobile GTA 5 sessions, or other demanding games, CubeThinker i35 is not suitable. You will be pleasantly surprised. Trackmania Nations Forever runs on the highest graphics settings and a full resolution of 3000 by 2000 pixels in a playable frame rate. There are now and then a few dropped frames and you see a little tearing in the image, but this has nothing very dramatic. League of Legends runs smoothly on native resolution and graphics settings medium-high. In World of Tanks you have the resolution of, the manufacturer relies on chips from Toshiba. The SSD can be extended thanks to the M.2 slots by the user. It has just been removed after the removal of the SSD. In addition, the hub USB PD, e-power delivery, supported. We have tested this with a Type-C hub of Aki, which provides USB 3.0 ports and HDMI port. With the hub, we have our 2.5 SSD tested again and again at USB 3.0 speeds, which are almost identical to the Type-A port. The keyboard in the CubeThinker i35 is for the price of a huge impertinence, and it is a child of no matter how good the rest of the equipment for the price. If you can get an ordinary keyboard with such a price-performance ratio, then you should save it to another location or it may be the same. Initially, the keyboard works well and high quality. The keys feel sturdy and have a fairly good size and a sufficient distance. Only the typing feel seems a bit vague from the beginning, but not immediately as a problem. In CubeThinker i35 a precision touchpad is fitted with good size. Unfortunately, the manufacturer of the touchpad is not clear, but one can say that it is not a Synaptics touchpad. As usual nowadays, the touchpad comes in clickpad execution. The mouse buttons are hidden under the touch surface. The touch surface feels valuable and has almost the same color as the housing. Under sunlight a subtle metallic shows sparkle. The surface feels slightly rough and has after some use very pleasant sliding properties. Something disturbing. The fingerprint scanner works excellently. The failure rate is extremely low and the waiting time is very short. A touch for a second is sufficient to register. Overall, the battery life is so poor to moderate. As for the CubeThinker i35, we feel torn. Here you get basically a very well-equipped device at a really fair price of, depending on the supply situation, $520 to $680. The display of the laptop is terrific and the performance absolutely satisfactory. But on closer inspection and real everyday use, some flaws emerge, which spoil the fun.
Wow.